For a lot of people, the idea of spending $1,500+ on any phone, let alone a foldable, and then not being able to put a decent quality case on it is almost a deal breaker. I am famously someone who doesn't always wear cases on their foldable devices, but that doesn't mean that I don't often try them out. And with the OnePlus Open in particular, I found that was pretty darn difficult. There just wasn't a great selection of cases around. There were some cases, but not from brands I was familiar with, brands I trusted, and in styles that I wanted to try. Well, luckily, that has changed a little bit because we do have, finally, a case from a known brand like Spigen here for the OnePlus Open. $39.99. You can see that I purchased mine on April the 6th. I believe it was just put into my mailbox. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to crack that bad boy open. We're going to install it and see what I think. Is this finally the OnePlus Open case we've been waiting for? All right, the Spigen case for the OnePlus Open. Not a whole lot on the package. Let's get this thing opened up. And, of course, it is in two individual pieces, as we have a foldable phone. Definitely has that Spigen look and feel to it, and it's quite a bit stiffer than the case that came with the OnePlus Open. This thing is very, very flexible. I've got a pop socket attached to the back of it as a little experiment. That thing is quite flexible. This is much, much stiffer. As you can see, we have some adhesive bits in here and up around to attach it, and we do have some extra of those adhesive strips in case you need to remove them or put them back on. As far as the cover display bit goes, hard to make that very stiff, right, because it's got to be so thin. But again, you have these little adhesive attachment areas. So let's go ahead and peel these off. Man, there are a lot of them. And we'll start off by attaching this to the back. Pretty simple installation. And I think that actually looks pretty good. That didn't add a ton of thickness to it. Of course, we still have to do the cover display, but that's not too bad. And it also did a little bit to kind of reduce how big that camera bump looks. Definitely isn't protruding out quite as far. Let's do the cover display now. One very long strip on that side. Curious to see how well that's actually going to hold. A lot of these sorts of cover display covers, cases like this, that portion right there will like to sort of flop around a little bit. It won't really seat, and stuff ends up kind of accumulating. Dust and so forth kind of accumulates underneath it. So hopefully that's not going to be a problem here. As you can see, that portion there seems like it has stuck in place pretty securely. I do see one thing that's going to be a little bit annoying for me, and it's the fact that the SIM tray is covered up, and my SIM comes in and out of this device almost every other day. It was in here yesterday. It's in the Pixel Fold today. It'll probably be back in here again tomorrow. So I'll kind of have to peel it up a little bit. Is it on that side or is it on the other side? Maybe it's on the bottom. Yep, it's right there. So I'm going to have to kind of, deal with that, peeling the thing off and putting it back on to move the SIM back and forth. Let's jump into something here that I can kind of test the back gesture on. Is that getting in the way? I don't think so. Sometimes you get too much of a ridge over here on the side, and I don't think that that's really happening for me. I think that feels okay. In terms of thickness, here's a Pixel 8 Pro. I mean, it's definitely quite a bit thicker. It does have a case on, but it's very, very thin. It's an aramid fiber case. So do keep that in mind. You are adding a little bit of thickness to it. But I don't think it's too bad. I mean, I've carried a Z Fold 4 with a case on as well, and it's definitely nowhere in the territory of that device. This just feels quite decent to me. I like the cutouts up here for your fingerprint scanner and your volume, as well as your notification slider. That all looks pretty good. The cutouts up here look pretty solid as well. Looks like we have the cutout for the IR blaster, as well as the speakers down here, microphone speakers, and the USB-C port. Cutouts all look really good. One thing that's kind of interesting is that I feel like there's a slight slope, or maybe a dip, right in there that slopes up towards the hinge. I'm not really sure what to make of that, but maybe you can see it on camera. That is kind of odd. Let's go ahead and open the thing up, and you can see here how it comes together. A little bit of a gap there, probably just where that didn't seat itself down totally straight. I see no issues from this perspective either. This seems pretty solid. In case you wanted to see what it looked like from the other perspective, looking at that internal screen, this is what we have here. It's gonna, of course, add a little bit of bulk all the way around, but I don't think it's so much that it's really going to get in the way of anything for me. We're gonna see if this material will adhere to a pop socket better than the one that it came with. Sorry, it's a little bit dusty. This thing was, look, it's a good value add. I'm happy that it was in the box, but pretty flimsy, not a whole lot going on there. And yeah, that is adhered to it much better. And I didn't even replace the adhesive. I literally peeled it off of this one and just stuck it on there, and that is instantly holding on there quite a bit better. If you pop that thing all the way out, that's pretty comfortable. I might actually try this for a little while. I may need to lower it a little bit because the camera bump is so large, but I think that that's not too bad. And I think it's really doing something quite nice when you're in this sort of tablet mode. The fact that I can just kind of hold on to it like this and one-hand it while I'm using it as a tablet, I think is pretty cool. Now, a lot of you are probably going to say, yeah, but you literally can't reach any of the screen. And that's definitely true, but sometimes you're using it two hands and you need to do something. You need to take a hand off and do something else, and that's going to allow you to do that pretty comfortably. So I'm thinking pop socket might be a win. So guys, I had fairly high hopes for this case, and I think that it has stood up to those high hopes quite admirably, and I think I'm going to really enjoy doing the pop socket thing again. I'm going to daily drive this for a little while. My sim is going to go right back in here again today. Like I said, it switched yesterday. It'll probably switch back now because of this. I think this is going to work really well, though. This kind of reminds me of how I had my Z Fold for a while. It feels nice and grippy. I do think it would give it some protection if you were to drop it, which, these things, I've actually dropped mine already. Not from a super high height, but I did drop it with no case on, and you really can't even tell that it happened. So a little bit of protection, I think, is going to make it that much more durable. I'm pretty happy with this thing so far, guys. So $39.99 is the price on this one. I'm going to drop an affiliate link in the description down below so that if you purchase it, or if you click that link and then make a purchase, I will earn commission off of that. So keep that in mind going forward. I think this might be the case to go with the OnePlus Open, at least for the ones that I've looked at, balancing price, brand name recognition, not adding a whole bunch of bulk, which I don't like, and that may be why eventually the pop socket comes back off. I don't know. We'll have to see. But the case alone is not adding a ton of bulk. I think it's got a pretty good balance, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.